What's going on there, YouTube? Welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, so we're going to do a full story video. A full story video is when I sit down and take a bunch of videos that I did in the past that tell one overarching story and combine them together into one big video. Today's full story video is going to be about, well, Batman. Technically, Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale Batman. Let me explain. You see, with those two guys, when they came together, they gave us Batman the Long Halloween, an amazing story. But prior to that story right there, they gave us 3 Halloween specials. Now, these specials were technically part of the Batman Legends of the Dark Knight series. Now, these Halloween specials, they took place in the early days of Bruce Wayne being Batman, but also learning some very important lessons about life and how he should live his life as Bruce Wayne, but also as Batman. And so for Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale, these 3 stories led into Batman the Long Halloween story. So I felt like we should go ahead and take all 3 stories and put them in one big video. And so I do hope you enjoy today's full story video. Okay, so with the summer being here, I was kind of sitting down and wondering like, okay, what kind of books can we cover on the channel, right? And for me, I love the X-Men, but we need some different types of content on the channel that you guys may enjoy. And so I kind of sat down and realized we cover a lot of Marvel. So I kind of want to move away from Marvel a tad bit, not completely, but just a tad bit, and cover some DC content, IDW, and the list goes on. Now, with all that being said, when it comes to DC, I'm kind of lost because for me personally, I'm not a major DC fan. I love DC comics, but I don't know what comics you guys may like officially. And so for me personally, I want to play it safer right now and cover some more Batman comics. Now, I know you guys go out of your way to tell me some different books you want to see on the channel. And my goal is to cover those books, hopefully, the next few months on the channel. But with that being said, I kind of want to sit down and cover Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale work on DC Comics because these 2 guys came together and did a lot of Batman comics. And really, when it came to these 2 guys, for most people out there, they only remember one particular story, and that would be The Long Halloween. And for some people out there, they even remember the sequels that came after The Long Halloween. But here's the thing, because there were some specials the 2 guys did together prior to The Long Halloween in the Legends of the Dark Knight series. You see, for these 2 guys, they came together for 3 Halloween specials. Now, each special is kind of like 70 to 80 pages long, but each was technically a one-shot. They all told their own particular story, with Batman kind of handling his own different types of villains in Gotham City in the early days of him being Batman. And so we're going to cover the first special that Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale did together. And that would be the Halloween special called Choices. Now, there is a very good reason why it's called Choices. As a matter of fact, as we go through today's storyline, you're going to see why it's called that. But on top of that, it's also us kind of seeing Batman handling Scarecrow in the early days of Bruce Wayne being Batman. Because when it came to Legends of the Dark Knight, they were basically stories that took place in the early days of Bruce Wayne being Batman. So he's still kind of fresh and new and still trying to figure out how to be Batman, how to protect the city. And so for him, going after Scarecrow is somebody he already met, but still kind of learning how to handle a character like him. Now for Scarecrow, he's not really the main focus of this book. He's kind of used to help explain the main idea of the entire story. But a different character is kind of more important for this book rather than Scarecrow is. But it's still a Scarecrow story and also a good one. Now, as we get into the early pages of this book, it's really more the book trying to tell us right off the bat, like, what is Halloween like in Gotham City? Because for other cities across the world, like Los Angeles, Cincinnati, Detroit, they all have different things going on or how they handle Halloween when the night comes up. But for Gotham, Halloween is different. All hell breaks loose. Now, of course, this Halloween, they have to deal with Scarecrow. Now, again, with this being the early days of Bruce Wayne being Batman, Scarecrow is somebody who gives Batman a run for his money. Now, this is not me saying like the Scarecrow is no longer a big time villain. No, it's just that with him being appearing in the early days of Bruce Wayne being Batman, he's a whole lot more difficult to handle than he is right now for Bruce Wayne. Now, for Bruce Wayne being Batman, he already knows what he has to do to hopefully find Jonathan Crane, Scarecrow, by going after the different people who work for him. Now, it's also kind of cool because it's Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale showing us in the early pages that Batman knows how to fight. Batman knows how to handle himself when it comes to just regular henchmen, but he also knows how to be somewhat like a detective to hopefully figure out where to find Scarecrow by just going after different people who work for the guy. Now, this kind of leads us into us learning what is Scarecrow's plan here. And we learned that for the Scarecrow, what he is trying to do is knock out different relay stations across Gotham to knock out the power in those different areas of Gotham. Because once the power goes out, you have people freaking out in the middle of the night, scared of the dark. And you have Scarecrow and his crew being able to move in the dark and steal different items from those people who had lost power. Now for Batman, he's kind of like, okay, cool, I found Scarecrow. Now it's time for me to go ahead and just take him out. Now, for Scarecrow, as we all know, he does use fear toxin as a way to bring the worst fears out of people. And so for Scarecrow, he believes that he has a new toxin that could possibly work on Batman. And so once he tries to give Batman a huge dose of his new toxin, you have Batman just being able to walk through the cloud of the toxin and just knock out Scarecrow in one single punch. But right after you have Bruce being able to handle the Scarecrow, well, you didn't have Jim Gordon appear. Now, this is the early days of Jim and Batman being allies. It's also Jim trying to continue to build that bond with Batman. Matter of fact, he's kind of like, hey, Batman, there's a party tonight over at Bruce Wayne's place. Like, you should come by. It's a Halloween party, so you can go ahead and dress like you are right now and still join the rest of us. But it's Batman kind of like, wait, that's right. There's a party going on at my home today. I need to get home. Now, for Bruce Wayne, he told us in the early pages of this book that it has been days since he last slept. So the dude is very tired, but unfortunately, he has to continue on because those guests are coming very soon. And so as we transition over to Wayne Manor, we're kind of picking up with Alfred just trying his best to say like, hey, Bruce, go ahead and cancel this event because honestly, you're exhausted, you look tired, and you need to get some rest. But of course, for Bruce Wayne, he has to continue on. And so you do have all these different guests arrive. Now, when they all arrive at first, it's Bruce Wayne being able to mingle with all the different people who are kind of like higher up people in the city of Gotham. But with him being able to be there at this party, he's still able to collect information on what's happening in the city. But for Bruce Wayne, you didn't have him be confronted by this young woman. Now, she will play a very important role for the rest of this book. Now, for a brief moment, you do have basically Scarecrow being able to break out of police custody. And so just like that, he's back on the loose again, but we kind of have to shift our focus back over to the party. And the reason why, because we do pick up with Batman still dancing with this young lady. Now, we don't get a chance to learn her name here in these 2 pages, but we also kind of see that it's Bruce Wayne trying his best to figure out who she is, but she's not trying to give him that information. Now, she brought dogs to the party, and of course, they made a mess in the library of Bruce Wayne's home. Now, for Bruce, he's kind of like, it's okay, you know what? I gotta go anyways. And the reason why, because the light has been turned on, calling out to Batman. Now, you have the two dogs kind of messing around with the old clock in the library. As we all know, that clock leads into the Batcave. But luckily for Bruce and Alfred, these two were able to see the dogs not being able to get into that secret passageway. Now, by the time you have Bruce Wayne get back out there in Gotham to be Batman, the Scarecrow had already attacked another relay station. And so with him doing that, unfortunately, another part of Gotham had just lost power. People are freaking out. People are scared of the dark. But it allows the henchmen of Scarecrow to go out of their way to rob those people who are freaking out at the moment. Now, for Batman, he does go out of his way to chase down two guys. But these two guys should be easy for Batman. And the reason why, because these two guys are amateurs. But the problem is Batman is exhausted. The dude is tired. And so these guys were able to kind of get the upper hand on Bruce Wayne. And one of them actually cuts Batman. And so for Bruce, it's him realizing how tired he truly is, because these two guys should have been knocked out in a matter of seconds. And so you have Bruce Wayne go home. Now, you can tell the man is completely exhausted, because as he works his way up to his room, he takes off every single piece of clothing he has for the Batman outfit just on the staircase. Kind of like, hey, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Alfred, pick those up. But also, Alfred, bring me a jelly donut. Now, once you do have Bruce being able to relax, he believes it's Alfred bringing him that donut. Instead, it's that same young lady we saw earlier walking into his room. Now, we do learn her name here. Her name is Jillian Maxwell. Now, as we kind of get into the second chapter of the storyline, we're really picking up with Bruce Wayne being Batman. Now, while he's out there being Batman, it's also Bruce kind of remembering the conversation he had with Jillian that took place right after she had walked into his room. Now, don't worry, we're going to transition back to that moment, but it's also Bruce kind of remembering that when it came to his father would always just leave in the middle of the night. And the reason why, because dad was a doctor, a surgeon. And so if there was an emergency, his father had to leave. Now, while you have Bruce Wayne just out there being Batman, looking at Gotham City, he's then attacked by all these different crows. Now, for Batman, realize that these crows are somehow being affected by Scarecrow's fear toxin. Like, their behavior has been chemically altered. But you do have these crows begin to attack Batman, and he begins to fall, what seems to be his death. But getting back over to the conversation that took place between Bruce Wayne and also Jillian, now technically in the past, is really more of her being this mysterious character. Now, we do learn that she snuck her way into his room, basically into his house, because Alfred walks in kind of like, yo, how in the world did you get in here? And why in the world are you here? Now, you do have Bruce Wayne go ahead and take her to the patio to kind of hopefully learn more about her. But that's the thing. She's not really trying to share much information about herself. And really, it's more of her kind of asking Bruce Wayne these different types of questions. Some where Bruce does not fully understand, but Alfred does. She's kind of like, hey, Bruce, were you ever bit by a dead bee? And for Bruce, he's kind of like, no, it's a dead bee. But for Alfred, he kind of understands what she's kind of asking here, because it's an old movie line. Now, for Bruce Wayne, he still wants to know more about her. He's kind of like, hey, Alfred, you know what? Let me go ahead and just take her out for the evening and kind of figure out who she is, because something about her is calling to me. And of course, is Bruce Wayne slowly falling in love once again with a different woman. Now, for Bruce Wayne, he does take her on a stroll throughout the park. Now, instead of Bruce Wayne trying to learn more about her, it's now her trying to learn more about him. Like, what does he like to do? Politics? No. Traveling? No. Does he have any girlfriends in his life? Again, no. But it's the two characters trying to get a feel for one another, but really more her trying to figure out more about Bruce Wayne because, yes, he's very mysterious, but she does have another reason. Now, here's the thing, because while you have the two just taking their stroll in the middle of the park, you do have this random thug try to rob her. Technically, he does. But for Bruce Wayne, he wants to make a move, but she says, don't, Bruce. It's just money. It's not worth your life. Now, for her, it's also her saying, like, stay here and let the police try to handle this on their own. And so once you do have the two characters being able to make it back over to Wayne Manor, she wants to stay with Bruce Wayne overnight. But Bruce is kind of like, hey, listen, you can't stay. I gotta work. Even though it's Saturday, I just can't stop. Now, of course, it's Bruce Wayne not giving her the actual reason of what he has to do, being Batman. But while you do have Bruce walking to Wayne Manor, Alfred confronts him and say, hey, the police just called and they were able to get her wallet back for her. Like, what happened at the park? But for Bruce Wayne, it's it's really more of him kind of realizing what she said could possibly be true. Like, hey, you don't have to go out there and risk your life every single night. Let the police try their best to handle different situations, because the police is capable of handling different things, like somebody being a purse snatcher. And so for Bruce, for a brief moment, is him kind of thinking like, maybe I should not go out for the night. Then he say, you know what? Let me go ahead and go out and be Batman. And so as we jump back over to the present day, we're picking up with Scarecrow. Now for Scarecrow, the Crows are able to hand him the piece of clothing they took from Batman. Of course, it's his bat symbol. And so for Scarecrow, he's kind of like, okay, you know what? Did you get my prize? Yes, you did. I wanted the bat symbol, and I'm hoping he didn't follow you. But of course, Batman did. And this kind of leads into a whole chase scene between these two characters. Now, the chase does lead Batman and Scarecrow over to the Gotham Central Park maze. Now, here's the thing, because we do learn here that the park should have been closed many years ago. And the reason why, because two kids actually got lost in the middle of the maze. And when they were found unalived. Now, with that being said, for Batman, he continues to chase after Scarecrow, but then kind of gets hit by some thorns. Now, these thorns, they're poisonous. And so, of course, this begins to affect Batman. Now, back at Wayne Manor, we do see that once again, Jillian was able to find her way into Wayne Manor, but once again, uninvited. And this time, she's in the office of Bruce Wayne. Now, for Alfred, he catches her and sends her on her way. But is Alfred kind of like, there's something wrong about this woman. Who in the world is she? And we kind of see here for Alfred that he was able to use the Bat computer to figure out that the CIA is currently looking for her. Really, the FBI as well, too. But for Alfred, we kind of learned that he did find some information about her, but unfortunately, we're not really able to learn what that information is all about. But right after that, you then have Bruce Wayne return back home to the manor. Now, when he does, of course, he comes in the Batmobile, but barely making it because he'd been poisoned by the thorns. And so you do have Alfred get Bruce out of the car, up the stairs, out of his bat outfit. Now, while you have Alfred hoping the antidote will actually save Bruce Wayne's life, we go into Bruce Wayne's mind. Now, as we do, we see him continuing to chase after Scarecrow through a maze, but this time in a church. Now, once you do have Bruce Wayne being able to make it through that maze, he's then confronted by Jillian in a wedding dress, where we're kind of left to believe that it's the two characters getting married. Now remember, for Scarecrow, his whole idea is to bring the worst fears out of you. So we're kind of left to wonder, is there a possibility that Bruce Wayne is scared to fall in love? Or is he scared to never find love at all? And so for Bruce Wayne, with this kind of dream happening, it's kind of like it's telling him, go ahead, be with Jillian. She could be the one for you. Now, once you do have Bruce Wayne wake up, he is confronted by Alfred at first. Now, the reason why I say at first, because Well, Jillian is also there as well. Once again, this woman had found her way into his home. Now, Alfred is unable to tell Bruce Wayne what he wants to tell him about Jillian. And so you do have Bruce say, hey, Alfred, I need you to leave, because with the dream he just had, is Bruce kind of saying like maybe he should be Batman less, or officially give up the idea of being Batman and try to pursue a life with Jillian. So it's him now asking her like, will you come with me on a trip? It's him beginning to abandon the idea of Batman. Now, the bat signal, it's been lit up once again, but Batman is not coming to Jim Gordon's side to help out, because remember earlier, it was Jillian who told Batman, you don't always have to go out of your way to risk your life. Like sometimes the police can handle things on their own. It's Bruce saying like, it's now time for you guys to handle things on your own. Go ahead and try your best to handle the Scarecrow. The problem is that when you have Jim and also his officer trying to leave the bat signal behind and go back inside, well, you didn't have Jim Gordon get jumped by Scarecrow. And so just like that, Jim Gordon is now a hostage that belongs to Scarecrow. Now, before you have Batman being able to, leave for this trip with Jillian, you have Alfred finally being able to give Batman what he'd been wanting to give Batman, information about Jillian. Now, Bruce is upset with what Alfred did, but it's Alfred saying like, when you care for somebody, you do things they may not like at all as a way to protect them. And right now, it's one of those times. Like, you have to look at the info that I was able to gather about her. Now we do see Bruce leave for the night to go be Batman once again. Now we're kind of left to believe like, okay, this is Bruce Wayne maybe finally stopping to be Batman. But no, that's not the case, because once you do have Bruce arrive at the clock tower as Batman to save Jim Gordon, to take down Scarecrow, it's Batman now telling us that Scarecrow's toxin had reached into the mind of Batman, pulling out like the worst fears of Bruce Wayne, which right now it seems like to be lonely, to not be able to achieve love. But also he was very tempted to leave behind the Batman life, to ignore the bat signal, to hopefully reach what he wanted in his life, which is again, love. But you do have Bruce Wayne being able to bring down the Scarecrow. Now, the following day, it's Jillian trying to arrive at Bruce Wayne's house to go on this trip, but Alfred stops her. And the reason why, because we learn here that apparently for Jillian, she had been using different names over the years, but with each name that she used, she always married some rich man. But the problem is the husbands that she married over the years, they had always died. Now, all their deaths have been labeled as accidents, but the question is, were they truly accidents at all? And Bruce Wayne was her next target. And so you have Alfred said, no, you can go home. And we see Alfred go in the Batcave, and Bruce had looked at that information that Alfred had gathered and realized that Jillian was the wrong move to make there when it came to him trying to find love. Now, the next page kind of tells us why the book is called Choices, because you have Bruce Wayne say, he learned something over this Halloween weekend. I thought that I didn't have a choice about being the Batman, that Gotham City chose me to protect her. That is wrong. Ever since the night my parents were taken from me, I made the choice. It means that some of my heart desires may go unfilled, but many more are satisfied. It is a good choice. Now, for Jillian, it does look like she already moved on to somebody else. As a matter of fact, she's already using a different name and married somebody else, a rich man. And she already planned to kill off the man in a supposed accident once again. But the problem is she's then confronted by a shadow figure who hands her a small note with a bat symbol drawn on it. But in the middle of the bat symbol, it literally says, confess. What's going on there, YouTube? Welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and continue our coverage over Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale's work on Batman. Because remember, guys, when it came to Batman The Long Halloween, it's well known as one of the best Batman stories of all time. But when it came to Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale, when they had came together to work together on Batman, they gave us 3 Halloween specials that came out prior to The Long Halloween. Now, the 3 Halloween specials, they were part of the Batman, The Legends of the Dark Knight series. That series alone kind of dealt with the early days of Bruce Wayne being Batman, where of course you're seeing Batman trying to figure out how to be a hero, how to handle different types of situations, and how to handle these different types of villains. And so when it came to those types of books, you really saw Batman struggle a lot. Like in our last one, when it came to that Halloween special, it was Bruce Wayne going after Scarecrow. But thanks to Scarecrow fear toxin, it brought out one of the worst fears in Batman's life. The idea that he would never find true love. Now in this one right here, is Batman also kind of dealing with a different type of trauma, but also a different villain as well. And that villain is the Mad Hatter. Now the Mad Hatter does somewhat tie into what kind of trauma that Bruce Wayne has to handle. But it's also us seeing Jim Gordon trying to adjust to the idea of being a father, because now he has 2 kids to take care of. And of course, one of them is Barbara Gordon. And really, the first page of this Halloween special kind of points out that, like, yes, this is a Batman story, but also a Jim Gordon story, a Barbara story as well, because for Barbara, she had just recently got adopted by Jim Gordon, but also they just moved, or really she had just moved over to Gotham City. And so for Jim, he knows like how crazy, how bad the city could truly be. But for Barbara, she believes that she can handle herself. She believes that she has the right to at least go around town to see all the different parts of Gotham on her own. But for Jim, it's kind of like, no, you don't understand what type of things happen here in Gotham City. And so while you have the 2 characters talking to one another, right above them at a subway station is Batman fighting against the Mad Hatter. Now, I kind of like this because it's really more Batman pointing out how truly bad Gotham is. Because here's the thing. In the last Halloween special, you had that book tell us like, hey, when it comes to Halloween, different cities do different things when it comes to Halloween. But for Gotham, all hell breaks loose. And so in this Halloween special, it's kind of like, hey, look at us once again. Here is Gotham City. Here's us dealing with another Halloween problem, because right now kids in this city are not really able to just go out on their own dressed up in different types of outfits to then go trick or treat to get a whole lot of candy. And the reason why, because in Gotham, your child might have the possibility of being kidnapped or even worse things happening to them. And so it's Batman kind of saying like, this city is really messed up, especially for children. Now, it's also Batman kind of pointing out different things about the Mad Hatter as well. Because for Batman, he does look at his rogue gallery like, okay, you know, I have the Joker, I have Two-Face, the Penguin, the Riddler. All those guys right there are just violent people. They're still bad, but they're just violent people. But when it comes to the Mad Hatter, it really does tick off Batman a lot, because here's the first reason why. The Mad Hatter's entire setup is built off the idea of a story made for children. Alice in Wonderland. This guy has perverted a story that was made for children many years ago. But it's also Bruce Wayne kind of remembering that his mom tried to read that story to him right before she was killed off in Crime Alley. But either way, for Batman, the reason why he's going after the Mad Hatter is because different children across Gotham City had just randomly disappeared. But all the different clues lead back over to the Mad Hatter. And so it's Batman saying, I gotta take this guy down to hopefully figure out what happened to the missing children. Now, while you have Batman trying to do that, you do have the Mad Hatter pull out a gun. And when he does shoot Batman, but only grazed Batman's head. But of course, Batman does lose a good amount of blood, which of course kind of makes him pass out for the time being, but allowing the Mad Hatter to escape. Now we do transition over to Jim Gordon and his family. Now here's the thing, because for Jim Gordon, he had actually adopted Barbara. Originally in the post-crisis era for DC Comics, Barbara was his niece. And so, of course, by this point in time, he was now able to adopt her, and she's now living with him and his wife and their newborn son. Now, for Barbara and Jim, they don't get along very well because, like I said earlier, for Jim Gordon, he's not really trying to allow Barbara the ability to go explore this brand new city. But it's him kind of pointing out, like, this is not Ohio. Like, this city right here is completely messed up. I'm afraid of the idea of possibly losing you. Now, you do have him say the wrong thing, like, as long as you live in my house, do what I say. And that right there kind of makes her even more upset, and she just walks away. Now, as we transition back over to Bruce Wayne, it's really more of us seeing Bruce Wayne still passed out. Now, when being passed out, it allows us to kind of go into this flashback where it was his mother trying to read him Alice in Wonderland. Now, this one particular moment does take place right before you had the family go out for the night to go see the movie. And of course, after the movie, they went down Crime Alley, where of course the Waynes were shot and killed at. But anyways, though, for his mom, she loved the idea of reading him that book. But when it came to his father, it was a huge no-no. And the reason why, because to his father, his son should be reading books that will inspire him to do great things, to teach him great things about the world, not just some random funny book for children. Like, that right there is not okay at all. But for Bruce Wayne's mom, for his mom, it's kind of like, no, he's still a kid. And with him being a kid, he should still be able to read children stories. Now, for a brief moment, we do switch back over to Jim Gordon. Now, for Jim, it's him trying to apologize to Barbara. The problem is that when he goes to her room, he realized she ran away. She's long gone. Now, you also have Jim read her diary, where it's her saying, like, she's trying her best to adjust to the idea that now this man right here is her father. But at the same time, he's not allowing her to have some type of freedom as a teenager to at least explore the city, to do different things. It's him not trying to meet her halfway. Now, once he's done reading her diary and realized that she ran away, his wife walks into the room and he says she left. And she tells him, dude, you are literally the commissioner of the police department. Get out there and find our daughter. Like, go out there, get your guys working to hopefully bring her home safely. And for Barbara, we see her right now just out in the middle of a park in Gotham City. Now, for Barbara, she kind of realized that, okay, she has no place to go. Like, technically, this was a bad idea. Like, she should probably go back home. But the problem is that as soon as she realized that, she's then completely surrounded by all of these random thugs wearing skull masks. Now, for Barbara, she's trying her best to get away. But the problem is they keep surrounding her, blocking her way out of the park. Now, luckily for her, somebody does come by and start shooting bullets everywhere. Now, at first, we're kind of left to believe, like, okay, maybe, just maybe, her father found her. But nope, he did not find her. Somebody else did. And unfortunately, that would be the Mad Hatter. Now, once you do have Batman finally get back up after passing out, you do have Batman realize that his arm is not really broken, but kind of sprained at the moment. Now, for Batman, he does find this rat, and this rat does lead Batman out of the building that he was currently in. Now, once you do have Batman get out of the building, he begins to slowly pass out. But then out of nowhere, somebody offers to help him. Now, for Batman, he's still somewhat woozy. So when he looks up, what he sees is, well, his mother. But he also realized that he's now back in Crime Alley. Now, for Barbara, we see that, yes, she is a captive for the Mad Hatter, but so are other children that had supposedly gone missing. But of course, they have been kidnapped by the Mad Hatter. Now, for Barbara, she's trying her best to figure out how can she escape? How can she work her way out of this situation? But for the Mad Hatter, he wants her to drink the tea that he had made. Now, there is a reason why he wants the kids to continue to drink the tea that he made. But we do see other kids there as well in different outfits from Alice in Wonderland. Kids who had also gone missing. The same kids that Batman is currently looking for. Now, one of the kids who were there with the Mad Hatter was able to escape, luckily. Now, with this child being able to escape, that child does run right by Jim Gordon's vehicle. And so this child could technically be used as a way to lead Jim over to where the Mad Hatter is at to hopefully save his daughter's life. Now, I want to go back over to Batman because for Batman, we saw him earlier believe that he was being helped out by his mother, but in reality, he wasn't. His mom is dead. As a matter of fact, it's Leslie Tompkins. Now, for Leslie Tompkins, she played a major role in Bruce Wayne's life right after his parents had died. It wasn't just Alfred, it was also her there as well. Now for Leslie, she's kind of like a therapist, but also she loves the idea of helping out young children in her area because that part of Gotham is a complete mess. And so for Leslie, once again, she was out there and she saw Batman on the ground and kind of realized that, hey, he needs my help. Now, she knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman. We do see her being able to nurse him back to health. And once she does that, he's kind of like, okay, cool, I gotta go. But it's also Batman saying thank you because he remembers that she was in his corner after his parents had died. He needed her just as much as he needed Alfred in his life as well. Now, when we jump back over to Jim Gordon, it's Jim Gordon right now getting ready to move in on the base of the Mad Hatter to hopefully bring him down. And matter of fact, for Jim, he brought a few police officers with him. But you didn't have Batman say, hey, don't go in. Let me handle this. Now, it's also Jim telling Batman like, hey, he has my daughter. And so for Batman, he's like, okay, now even more motivated to go in there, stop the Mad Hatter, but to also make sure to bring your daughter back to you. And so for Batman, he kind of knows he has to move fast because for Batman, he knows Jim Gordon is not going to wait that long. His daughter's life is in danger at the moment. And so for Batman, he has to move fast to hopefully save her life. And so you have Batman try to get in there fast to bring down the Mad Hatter. But Jim Gordon does not wait that long. The dude busts through a window to get his daughter back. Now, while you have him being able to grab his daughter, you have Batman chase down the Mad Hatter. And this battle does not last that long at all, where you do have Batman being able to easily bring down the Mad Hatter. Now, this leads into a small conversation between Batman and also Barbara. Now, is Barbara apologizing to Batman? And for me personally, I'm like, technically, you don't really need to apologize to Batman. You need to apologize to your father because Batman was going after the Mad Hatter. So either way, he would have gotten there to bring down the Mad Hatter. But you're only there because, well, you and your father got in a fight and you ran away from home. But either way, you do have Batman just disappear when she looks back up and realize he's gone. But you do have her go back home with her father. And the close on this book is Bruce Wayne going back home and actually finishing the book that he never got the chance to finish with his mom, Alice in Wonderland. And so this is the actual ending for this book right here. Okay, so it's time for us to go ahead and cover the very last Halloween special that was done by Jeph Loeb and Tim Sells. Now, these two guys came together to work on 3 different Halloween specials before they had officially moved on and gave us Batman The Long Halloween storyline. Now, these Halloween specials were technically part of the Legends of the Dark Knight series, which was the early days of Batman, like right after year one, kind of explore the early days of him being Batman. Now, with that being said, each of these Halloween specials do have some kind of message behind them. Like, for example, the first one kind of gave us this message that for Batman, he was scared of not being able to find true love. That first story was really more of a scarecrow story, but it was him being hit with fear toxin. With the fear toxin, it really did bring up the idea that maybe, just maybe, Batman won't be able to find true love. And the reason why, because Bruce Wayne is always out there being Batman, but not really trying to be Bruce Wayne. And of course, with that fear in his mind, when he did meet a woman known as Ghislaine Maxwell, he was quick to fall in love with her, even though she was completely the wrong person to fall in love with. So like I said, each of these books does have some kind of message behind them. This one is really more of Batman being told, like, listen, you only have one life. With that one life, try to do great things. Do great things for yourself, but also great things for the city. Build a legacy that you would love to leave behind. Now, the first page really does establish the whole idea where the story is going to go, because we do pick up with Bruce Wayne at this Halloween party. Now, while being at this Halloween party, he does run into Lucius Fox. Now, here's the thing. These two guys, the way they're talking to one another, it has been years since the two of them have last seen each other. So that right there is Jeph Loeb and Tim Sales trying to establish where this story could possibly go. But right after that first page, we are then given a party crasher in the storyline, and that would be the Penguin. Now, for me personally, the Penguin is not really being used as the way like Scarecrow was or the Mad Hatter was in the first two Halloween specials, kind of being used as a background character, but also being used as a way to deliver some kind of message in these Halloween specials. For me personally, it kind of seems like the Penguin is only being used as a way to give us a few pages of Bruce Wayne being Batman. Now, with the Penguin crashing this party, you have Bruce trying his best to protect the people, but you have the Penguin shoot Bruce out the window. Now, we already know there's no way that Bruce Wayne is dead in the first 5-6 pages of this storyline. Now, for the Penguin, the reason why he's here right now is to, of course, rob the different guests of all their different items. Like, for example, for Lucius Fox, he does lose his medallion. Now, medallion does play a somewhat role in this storyline, but you do have Batman just crash into the party as well. So, of course, Bruce Wayne has switched into his Batman outfit, and now it's time for him to fight against the Penguin, which honestly, it's not really a big battle for Batman because it's the Penguin, one of the easiest guys to fight against. Now, this leads into a chase where you do have Batman trying to capture the Penguin. But here's the thing, because in the last two Halloween specials, you had Batman kind of give us a breakdown of the Scarecrow, a breakdown of the Mad Hatter. And so for Batman, once again, another breakdown, but this time for the Penguin. Now, it's Batman saying the one thing about the Penguin is his ego. His ego gets in the way. And that right there is a major problem for the Penguin, because with his ego, it leads into the actions he takes. And most of the time for the Penguin, he does not try to sit down and look at different routes to take when it comes to handling different problems that pop up in his life. And so unfortunately, when it comes to trying to fight against me, his ego gets in the way, allowing me to easily win against him. But it's also Batman saying, like, I cannot let my ego get in the way. As the protector of Gotham, I have to make sure that my ego sits on the back burner, because justice must be blind. Justice must be served without my ego being involved with my actions. Now, you do have Bruce Wayne go home, but while you have Bruce Wayne going home, he kind of realized that he has gotten sick by something. Don't know what, but he's unfortunately under the weather. Now, as he walks up to Wayne Manor, he tells us that he does not look at this home as his house. It still belongs to his father. And so for him, he feels like he does not deserve the right to call this his home just yet. He hasn't anything to kind of prove that he does have the right to say, this is my home, no longer my father. Now, he does walk up to his door where he does kind of see the medallion that Lucius Fox had earlier, but in reality, he's just seeing things. Now, Alfred does open the door for him, and you have Bruce go upstairs to relax, while you have Alfred try his best to kind of help Bruce Wayne feel better. Now, for Bruce Wayne, we do kind of see that he has gained a fever. And so for Bruce, he's trying his best to get some rest, but unfortunately, it seems like he's not really able to achieve that. Now, here is where the story truly begins, because you didn't have Bruce Wayne be confronted by his father. Now, this is the spirit of his father, apparently, but a spirit of his father wearing all these different chains. Now, it's his father saying, like, I came here to help you, to break the chains, to allow you to be free. Because for me, when I was alive, I let different things kind of hold me down. I was focused on the wrong things in life, like, for example, my medical career. But Bruce, I want you to realize that your obsession with Batman is going to be the biggest chain for almost anybody to break. It's going to hold you down. Now, you do have the spirit of Bruce Wayne's father just fly away. Now, for Bruce, he still believes this is some kind of crazy trick. But his father says, you, Bruce, will have 3 spirits stop by. These 3 spirits are here to help you, to guide you into a better version of yourself. Now, we already know that these 3 spirits are going to represent the past, the present, and the future for Bruce Wayne. Now, these spirits will also take the form of different people in Bruce Wayne's life. So, for example, the first spirit took the form of Poison Ivy. Now, for Bruce Wayne, he does not believe what's actually happening right now in front of him. He believes that now, seeing Poison Ivy, that means he has been poisoned. And matter of fact, as she crawls on top of him as he's bound to this bed, he truly does believe that he has been poisoned. But it's her saying, like, no, you're not poisoned. Matter of fact, I'm here to show you your past. So here is the first part of your adventure. Now, this first flashback is really more of us just seeing Bruce Wayne as a child. Now, with him being a child, he's dressed up for Halloween, and apparently him and his parents were supposed to go out for the night. The problem is that his father couldn't make it. With his father being a great surgeon, a great man in the medical field, the man does get called away so many times for different types of emergencies. And for Bruce, once again, his heart is broken. His night is ruined. Now, he tells his mom, you know what? I'm going to stay up all night and wait until dad comes home. Now, for his mom, she does try her best to turn the night around by saying, you know what? How about this? I'll go ahead and invite some of the kids from your school. We learn here for Bruce Wayne, he had no friends at his school at all. Like, this kid had no friends growing up. And so, unfortunately, he must spend this night of Halloween by himself, technically. Now, this second flashback is really more what the spirit is trying to bring out of Bruce Wayne. And what I mean by that is, as we jump into the second flashback, we see now it's Lucius Fox in Paris. Now, this takes place right before you have Bruce Wayne become Batman. He is training to become this great man for Gotham City. But you have Lucius right now getting jumped by a few thugs. Now, luckily for Lucius, Bruce Wayne was there to help protect him. But after doing that, you have the 2 guys sit down and have a conversation with one another. Now, with this conversation, it's Lucius learning this is Bruce Wayne. He knows Bruce has a lot of money, but for Lucius, he has skills in finance. And so is Lucius saying, why don't we work together? We can do great things for the entire world if we do work together. But by this point for Bruce Wayne, all the money and his time alone is being used and focused on becoming a great protector for Gotham City. Now, for the Spirit, this is what it wants to point out for Bruce Wayne. Like, look, you say you became Batman as a way to honor your parents, to help protect Gotham. But is that what your parents want you to do? Like, honestly, that man right there is trying to give you a better route in life, to help do great things for this world, to build a great legacy for you to be proud of. Now, once you do have that flashback in, for Bruce Wayne, he believes like, okay, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, it was some kind of nightmare. Now, once you do have Bruce begin to walk around Wayne Manor, he begins to hear this laugh. And he recognized the laugh so well because him and this person, they have battled so many times over the years. And so you have Bruce Wayne begin to walk down the steps. When he does, he slowly changes back into his Batman outfit once again to only be confronted by the Joker. Now, this is not the real Joker. This is the second Spirit taking the form, saying like, hey, you know what? I came here to show you your present self. Like, hey, the last one is your past, the next one your future. Me, I'm here to show you who you are now as Batman. Now, for Bruce, he still does not believe that any of this is real. He tries to attack the Joker, but this is a spirit. Now, for this spirit, it gets straight to the point very quickly when it comes to trying to show Bruce Wayne what it wants Bruce to understand about his present self by basically saying like, look, here's these kids walking up to your house. They want to trick or treat. Unfortunately, they're so scared of your house. But then you have the spirit who's right now pretending to be the Joker say, well, also, let's realize something here, Batman. You have no friends. Now, I know I have no friends, but I'm the Joker. But for you, you should have friends. It's the spirit saying like, look at you. You have pushed everybody away, not allowing anybody to enter your life. And that right there is a problem. Be with people, build bonds with people, because that's a way to build a great life for yourself. And so that is when you didn't have Batman be confronted by the last spirit. Now, this last spirit is the future for Batman. And once you have Batman realize where he's standing at is at the grave of his parents, but he sees Alfred. Alfred looks older, but Alfred is standing over the grave of Batman, Bruce Wayne. And then you had the spirit reveal that it's Bruce Wayne himself in a Batman outfit, but of course dead. It's him saying like, if you allow your obsession to be the protector of Gotham, this hero for the city that you're supposedly trying to be as a way to honor your parents, you're going to end up dead next to them. But the thing is, once you do die, you're going to realize you did not build a legacy to be proud of. You didn't leave anything behind for the next generation to look up to when it comes to you. Unfortunately, you will leave nothing behind for anyone to talk about. You will be completely forgotten. And so this kind of leads into the ending of the storyline because you have Bruce just run down the stairs. And for Alfred, he's kind of confused, like, why in the world are you running down the stairs for? Like, what in the world is going on? But this is Bruce beginning to change his life around because he said, hey, Alfred, go ahead and call up Lucius. Later on that day, you have Bruce and Lucius meeting up, building that bond between one another, being able to say, you know what, Lucius, I want to work with you. I got the money. You have the finance skills. Let's work together. Let's do great things for Gotham and the rest of the world. It's Bruce Wayne beginning to build his legacy. After that, the last page is him being able to give kids candy for trick-or-treating because tonight is Halloween. And this is where we're going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.